Hi, I am Sharmila Parmanand and I will be answering a few questions on equity in debating. These are my personal views. They do not necessarily represent the views of the organizations I work with. First question: what is equity? I tend to think of equity on three levels. The first one is it is a way of thinking about debating such that we are committed to fairness in debating competitions and the safety of debating participants in debate events. Second is that it is a set of policies designed to prevent unfairness in tournaments and to allow victims to seek remedies. So this can be mediation, an apology, or in rare cases, more severe sanctions on offenders. Third, I think of equity as a framework for learning and education about inclusivity and equality. So here I'd like to highlight the role of equity in consciousness raising because we sometimes default to unconscious and implicit biases without realizing it, and it's helpful to be reminded and guided so we are more aware of the consequences of our behavior. Second question: why is equity important? So remember that equity policies in debating events operate in a context where uh, debating events usually bring together a diverse group of participants who interact with each other not only in the actual debates, but also socially, online, in meetings, and in council sessions. And the topics discussed in debates cover a wide range of controversial issues, some of which will be sensitive and will require people to go beyond their intellectual comfort zones. So, without this intervention, there is a very real risk that the dynamics of debating events end up mirroring inequalities outside debating. So, any conduct or policy that discriminates on the basis of gender, race, religion, nationality, or language status threatens the fairness of competitions and needs to be dealt with. It can also turn people away from debating. Now, this is bad for the individuals affected, but it's also bad for debating as an activity. What are some misconceptions about equity? There is a misconception that an equity driven approach to debating must always be confrontational and punitive and must always involve banning individuals from events or punishing and publicly shaming offenders. M- In fact, many equity related issues are usually resolved using peaceful mediation or by participants self correcting and apologizing for their mistakes or offering an apology after a chat with the equity team. I think investing in equity is compatible with assuming the best of individuals in most situations and assessing potential slights or offenses in a firm but respectful way and with careful attention to context. I personally think that another misguided approach to equity would be to use it as a basis to limit the range of topics that can be discussed in debates, which leads to fears of mission creep or equity overreach. In general, so bad topics, those that are imbalanced or that require people to make offensive arguments and hasty generalizations, these should be naturally weeded out by a good motion test and should not be set in the first place. Of course, I cannot stress enough how important it is for CA teams to exercise due diligence when setting motions and to ensure that the words in the motions allow for a fair and accessible debate. Now, it is understandable that a small range of topics may be triggering to a small number of participants who feel unable to fully participate in specific debates. And in this case, an equitable solution is to allow them to opt out of those debates.